evening, folks. Welcome to this evening's Blah 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 Motorcycles event. Thank you so much for coming out. It's really great to see all of you here. This is the 7th edition of Blah 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 Motorcycles in Chicago, and it's almost the 2nd year anniversary, so pretty cool stuff out there. We have a really lovely lineup tonight, all here to speak about gearing up. Our first storyteller this evening is the first one to sign up for the event. So we're going to welcome JB to the stage. On Instagram, he describes himself as an overly educated redneck, but the truth is much weirder. Like tow truck driving, foreign policy analyst, candlepin bowling alley mechanic, philanthropist, world traveler, and one-time cheese guy at Whole Foods. Last but not least, he says he's good at dinner parties. So if you need an extra guest, find JB on Instagram. However, he might have to travel back here because he recently started a motorcycle tour company called Mexico by Moto. So you also have some travel plans to make for yourself. Please welcome to the stage, JB.
Welcome to Motorcycles Anonymous. First, I want to say this is the first time I've been in a bar talking like this. It's kind of interesting. So thank you all for coming tonight and supporting season. So I wrote down some notes that I'm going to probably keep looking at throughout, the next couple minutes. And how much time do I have?
Up to 20.
Okay. All right, so I wanted to start by kind of introducing you a little bit of a story of like where I came from and what my life was kind of like. When I was a kid, my father was much older than I was. He was born in 1920, so in the 70s, it was like I was growing up in the Depression. And he would often say, $20 and a new pair of shoes and I can work my way across this country. And I would cry and be like, oh, Dad, please don't go. Ah. So imagine me then at 25 years old, I'm driving a truck cross country, delivering art, working for a museum transportation company, so high-end blue collar. And I pick up my dad on one of these trips and I go through Southern Illinois, pick him up. We go to Colorado, we go to Vegas, we go to Santa Monica, we go to San Francisco. He's telling me all these great stories. I probably would have never known about his time in the Navy and during World War II and everything. And we're on our way back east through the Rockies, and I've been giving him a little bit of money and paying for the hotels and stuff. I said, hey, Dad, give me some of that money I gave you, so I don't have to find a bank. I can get us a hotel room for the night. And he goes, he's 73, I'm 25. He's like, you didn't give me no money. And I'm like, okay, old man. I wheeled the truck over to the side of the road in the middle of the Rockies out near Glen Canyon, and I pull out the last $20 bill in my wallet, and I go, here you go. Your shoes look pretty good. See if you can make your way home. A month later, I'm coming. We didn't talk from the Rockies to St. Louis. And I come through Southern Illinois on the next month. I walk in the back door of his house, and he's sitting there with his one-armed buddy playing cards. And he goes, hey, tell Bob about that time you tried to kick me out of the truck in the middle of the Rockies. And he and I became friends and became men that way. But that gives you a sense of kind of how I grew up, and I never wanted for anything, but I never had anything. So the idea that if I wanted something, if I wanted a motorcycle, if I wanted a three-wheeler, whatever it was, I had to make that thing run. I had to fix it, I had to figure it out. And, because, we didn't have a lot, I made it happen. And I carried that same sort of mentality into my adult life. And it became a badge of honor, like, look how cheaply I got this done. Look how I got that done, right? Or I cobbled this thing together and made it happen. But it also kind of blended into me as traveling and going, I just take one bag with me. So I don't pack a lot. I try not to take a lot of things with me, and I work very hard, and I pride myself in being the guy who shows up at the airport with a toothbrush and like a straw hat. So how does that work? Well, oftentimes it doesn't. That's kind of the beauty of it. If I'm in a foreign country, I just show up and I rent a motorcycle. I borrow a helmet from somebody. I tend to get a pair of flip-flops at the OXXO in Mexico. And I carry the straw hat with me because for some reason the $3 straw hat goes everywhere. And and I make it happen. There's always some point where I run out of gas and I have to contend with figuring out how to siphon gas out of a tractor or talk somebody into filling my tank for me. But it's all part of the journey and what's fun for me. So I often will say, the journey doesn't begin until something goes wrong. So when I'm on the road and I'm trying to find a bungee cord or a new flip-flop because mine finally gave out on me, or maybe I've had an accident or a flat tire or whatever it is, I tend to try to work it out and figure it out on my own. And it becomes part of the journey, it becomes part of the story, it makes it more interesting for me. So I started thinking about this and how I slimmed down for travel and I try to pack light. And at the same time, I'm starting this motorcycle tour business, which requires me to actually, if you look on Instagram, there's 1,000 people out there with BMW that has every kind of saddlebag you can imagine, and they've got like a military pack on their chest, and the boots are this kind of this and that and whatever. And I'm sort of the opposite of that. And I started thinking, oh, I don't know, what are my clients going to think if I just show up in my like Carhartts and my sneakers and a t-shirt? That may not be the best. So I decided to start actually collecting some of that gear. Got a new Klim jacket, got a new pair of Klim pants. Went down to Mexico City over the 4th of July to pick up my gringo card. I applied to be a resident in Mexico.
Yeah.
So now I'm part Mexican. You couldn't tell. And I wrecked a motorcycle for the first time in 35 years. The last time I put a bike down was in my driveway because I like whiskey throttled it and into the gravel and like twisted up the front end. Have ridden dirt bikes a lot. I expect to wreck a dirt bike every time I get on it. But in the street, no. And I don't know if it was the fact that I'd written Basura Blanca on my helmet, which means white trash. If that was the reason that it was trashed on this trip, I'm not really, might be a correlation. My buddy who came to pick me up and pick up the bike that I had completely wasted the front end on hitting a car, he looked at the helmet and just looked back at me and very angrily goes, "Not funny." So I was like, okay, fine. But so I've been buying equipment this time around. My buddy Andy over here I'm dragging along into this adventure, whether he likes it or not. And so I've got a thing so I can talk to other people or not talk to other people, apparently, hopefully. My helmet, and I got new boots for the first time in years, other than my heavy duty dirt biking boots. And I'm trying to kind of like show up and look the part a little bit. I'll let you know how that works. Oh yeah, I had a couple good jokes in here. Too bad I didn't use them. One of the things that I wanted to talk about here is like, what did I do to kind of, what brought me into this of wanting to start a tour business? And this is just a little bit more about my own personal story. But back in 1993, I hopped on a plane with a couple of friends in New York, and we went to Oaxaca. And made my way out to Puerto Escondido, which at that time was a cinder block bar on the beach, and some Australian kids that were, getting chased around by some transgender women, and they were kind of just doing their own thing. That was it. I tried to rent a motorcycle, I couldn't. I rented a Volkswagen Bug, drove down the coast, slept on the beach for $2 a night in a grass hut. And I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life staring at the sunset and like working on two-stroke mini bikes or something. What it's turning out like now that I'm 56 years old and I'm actually considering what that retirement may actually look like, I thought, staring off into the sunset in the same place every day, it would probably get boring. So what am I going to do instead? And I don't have a lot of money because I've blown it all on motorcycles, cars, and other kind of silly things, vacations, whatever. So I needed to find something that I wanted to do, what I enjoy, what could I get up and do, but would also help me pay for the next 20 or 30 years of my life vacationing. So I created Mexico by Moto. And hopefully by this time next year, there'll be Mediterranean by Moto and Mongolia by Moto. And if I have anything to do with it, or Elon Musk does, there'll be the Moon by Moto. And but I didn't want to wait until I was tired. I didn't want to be, I'm already tired. I don't want to be retired. So I'm going to take what money I have now and I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm inviting people that I know and I love along with us. It's not so much about making money as it is about expanding that vacation that I do and bringing people along with me. And this winter we're going to be taking 2 tours, one in central Mexico, one in Oaxaca. And it's hot springs and it's hammocks and beaches and great food and super swanky hotels and Gilligan's Island style hotels. And I want to spend the rest of my life having a good time with people like you.
Oh yeah.
So thank you all for listening, and thanks for being such a kind audience.
Thanks, JB. I think as especially someone who's also closing in quickly on middle age, those life reevaluations happen, right? And you take those risks, you take those jumps, and of course, with my impending move and life leap as well, it's totally understandable. And I think especially now as we're faced with a fairly uncertain future, why not take that risk? Why not gear up for that thing that you've been dreaming of, or that thing that you've just been wanting? Or maybe it's simple like buying the motorcycle you've wanted, or maybe it's simple like eating at that restaurant you've been wanting to go to, or taking more walks with the dog, or taking advantage of the cat distribution system. Whatever it means to you, but jumping in and leaping in and saying, you know what, I'm gonna gear up for this thing that I've really been wanting. And why not? It's life. We're not meant to work through it. We're meant to enjoy it. So the reason we're here is because we all enjoy something, motorcycles, which gives us a greater feeling of feeling alive, because there's nothing else you can do but pay attention to life when you're on a motorcycle. So yeah, let's get geared up, and how about in 1 year we all meet in Mexico and go riding with Mexico by Moto. Maybe it's on the moon. Thank you, JB, that was really lovely.